What's up, metalheads? Welcome to the Scrap Metal Podcast, the show for the misfits who've been listening to the same music since high school. I'm your host, John von Frankenstein, and joining me today is my metal thrashing mad co-host, Chris. Chris, I gotta ask you, man, how you feeling?
I gotta say, I'm feeling flabbergasted.
Flabbergasted! One of my favorite words. Golly gee, Batman. Does this feeling of flabbergastedness have anything to do with how you're keeping your heavy metal street cred?
You know, it just might have something to do with my heavy metal street cred, because in our last episode, we started the episode talking about Kerry King's new music and how he had this new band and a new song, announced a new album.
That's right.
And I don't know if we brought it up, but there was some interviews where he was throwing some shade at Tom Araya, saying he had to play all the bass parts since like Seasons in the Abyss, and, you know, was talking some shit about Dave Lombardo, which like feels like Kerry King never misses an opportunity to talk shit about Dave Lombardo. Immediately after we have that conversation and we record that episode, it gets announced that Slayer is reuniting for 2 festival dates.
Yeah, big news.
Yes, massive news. And it was so confusing on the internet because I open up Instagram at work like I usually do, and the first thing I see is Anthrax posting that they're going to be at Louder Than Life Festival.
Yeah.
And Slayer is the headliner on like Friday night. And I'm like, is this like a throwback? You know, because Slayer hasn't been a band for 5 years.
Yeah.
And then I'm reading the description and Anthrax like is just saying, yeah, we're going to be playing this show. And I'm like, what's happening here? Did someone fuck up that's supposed to be Kerry King and not Slayer? And then I scroll down.
Yeah, right.
I scroll down and the official Slayer page posts a video and the 2 pictures announcing that they're going to be at Riot Fest and that they're going to be at Louder Than Life Fest. And like, it's exciting.
Yeah.
Because it's Slayer.
Yeah.
And, you know, so many of us that love Slayer are very excited about that. We're very sad to see that Slayer was retiring, but we get it. We all knew, you know, Tom went through the surgery to fix his neck and that it really affected his ability to, you know, play on stage.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I said, it was very confusing because Kerry King just announced this new solo band where he's not, like, he hasn't talked to Tom since the last show, and now apparently they're reunited. And so it was like for several hours, there was a lot of confusion on the internet. People thought it was like Tom reuniting with Dave Lombardo and both of them saying like, fuck you, Kerry King.
Yeah.
We're going to replace you. And then like eventually it came out like, no, it's the lineup that was Slayer at their final show 5 years ago is the lineup that will be playing these 2 shows. And so like, it's great. But then you also have the people that are like, you know, I saw Kiss on their farewell tour 24 years ago, you know,
right. Yeah.
And they're still touring. Other bands have done the same thing. Last tour, last chance, final tour. We're never going to tour again.
Right.
And then they do. And so people are like, oh, Slayer is going the way of Kiss, where they're like, oh, this was our farewell tour. And this is our second farewell tour. And this is our third farewell tour. We mean it this time.
Oh, shit. I can't wait for the Slayer avatars.
And with that, that also brings a lot of people online talking about, you know, or showing off the T-shirts that they bought at that final tour or at those final shows I think they were in Los Angeles, where the back of the shirt says in like size 150 font, Final Slayer Show. And like, well, that was a fucking lie, you know? Like that's
like insert that clip of Oprah. What is the truth?
Yeah, exactly. So it's we're all excited and we're happy to see, you know, if Slayer is going to make a habit of maybe not touring, but playing festivals. Hopefully they'll do like what the original Misfits are doing and not necessarily touring, but playing one-off shows. That would be great. But yeah, it is funny to see people kind of being like, you know, clearly it wasn't a farewell tour, and then showing off all these T-shirts that they bought that said farewell tour and final show that are now completely obsolete.
Yeah. It's funny because they're like you said, I remember texting you like, "Did you see the news?" And you're like, "Yeah, everyone's really fucking confused." But there's still that excitement around an opportunity now, sort of like what we're seeing with Pantera.
Yeah.
Where people are a lot of people are like, "Oh, you know what? Maybe I don't agree with it. Maybe I don't love that it feels like a money grab, but am I gonna pass up the opportunity to see one of my favorite bands? Probably not."
Yeah.
So like, yeah, no, I get it, but it was a lot of times for us on this show, it has felt like the universe or some CIA agent is just actively listening to our show. And is like, yeah, we're gonna sprinkle in a little bit of this news for these guys, or
Yep.
here's this one of the many metal publications talking about an episode that we had just recorded.
Yeah.
So of course, like we had just discussed, certain things, and suddenly we see this news pop up, and it's like, oh, okay, the timing could not have been scarier for this. Seriously,
Absolutely.
it's insane. It's insane. I love it, and every time it happens, it just makes me kind of giddy because we're so on the fucking pulse, baby.
Yes.
I fucking love it. That's why you guys tune into this show. We know what we're fucking talking about. We know when shit's gonna be relevant before you even know it. But something that's incredibly relevant that you just mentioned is people's affinity to want to collect these t-shirts, right?
Yeah.
T-shirts at a concert announcing the show that they'd been to, t-shirts for a certain band that they really love, t-shirts that just become part of their everyday wardrobe and become staple pieces for their outfits. And there is nothing like the heavy metal band tee. These band tees are so important to us as music fans and especially as fans of heavy metal. And that's what we're talking about today. Band tees, the culture around them, the phenomenon that is the band tee, and what some of our favorite band tees are. Chris, as a avid collector of band t-shirts and tour t-shirts, are you excited to get into this episode?
I am so excited to get into this episode. Like you said, I have a lot of t-shirts. I haven't done an official count. Pretty sure I'm in the neighborhood of 300 t-shirts.
Christ.
And I've often thought, hey, wouldn't it be fun to wear a different t-shirt every day for an entire year without repeating a t-shirt? And I think I could get pretty fucking close. But it's not all band t-shirts. It's not all tour t-shirts. A lot of it are just, referencing all the various nerdy shit I like. Some of it is just, graphic tees that I will not let go of from high school, like the things you could buy in the back of Spencer's Gifts, those types of t-shirts. But yeah, I'm excited to talk about this, like you're saying, especially when I was a kid, a teenager becoming a fan of this music. I want to let people know I'm a fan of this music by wearing shirts of my favorite bands. And, like we're also saying, when you go to a tour, I always got to buy a t-shirt when I see a band live. It's such a important thing for me. It's like, obviously I have 300 fucking t-shirts, so yes,
spared no expense.
So yes, I am very excited to discuss heavy metal band t-shirts.
Yeah, what I feel like is such an important part of it, and the culture surrounding it, why we all love it so much, is I call it the same hat phenomenon. Right?
Yeah.
Like there's that old meme of like, two dudes walking down the street and they see each other and they're like, oh, I'm wearing the same hat as you. It's the same hat. And there's that excitement of like, oh, you know this band? I know this band.
Yeah.
And you want to acknowledge each other. And it's something that reminds you that we as metalheads are really part of a larger family, and we really do accept one another, and we care for and recognize one another, even if we don't know each other.
Yep.
I can't tell you the amount of times that I've been at the mall, fucking Costco. I was at Costco once in a Ghost t-shirt. And I was like, you're doing a Costco run. So I'm like raggedy. I have a Ghost t-shirt on, and this dude goes, man, sweet t-shirt. Fucking love those guys. And I'm like, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Walking in to get in line for a concert, I think when I had seen Mastodon and Gojira over the last summer, there was a guy in line with a Candlemass t-shirt. So, I saw him and I was like, "You are bewitched." And he was like, "Yes, exactly." Like he'd never heard anyone call him out for that.
Yeah.
Like that, at least that's the way that he reacted. So it made me so happy to be able to make someone else happy because I've recognized the band on their t-shirt. And I think that that's really a major part of why we want to wear these t-shirts, if not subconsciously, you know what I mean? At the very least, subconsciously. But there are so many different topics around the culture of band tees and the importance of band tees and like just where we even start to see band tees as being a thing. And for me, a lot of it started with media, where I was like, oh, this is a really cool character. This is a metalhead character, or when I was growing up, a grunge character. And they're in this particular band t-shirt.
Yep.
So I want to start wearing band t-shirts to try to emulate that.
Yeah.
And it's really funny how things like that happen. One example that I can think of right off the bat, one of my absolute favorite movies, Detroit Rock City, the character of Hawk, played by Edward Furlong, has this black Kiss t-shirt with silver, like ironed on, with a silver ironed on logo. It looks like it's homemade. But I remember seeing that t-shirt in that movie and being like, holy shit, that looks so cool.
Yeah.
I want a shirt like that. I want to be able to have something that looks vintage or something that looks DIY for a band that I really, really love. What is one of the examples that you can think of band t-shirts and media?
Well, I immediately go to Beavis and Butthead.
Okay.
Wearing their AC/DC and Metallica t-shirts. And I think, I don't know, I struggle to think of specifics, but I think there is just that idea of I would see in media, or I would just see like my friends in middle school or high school, or even just seeing people on TV giving an interview, like watching one of my favorite bands give an interview while wearing another band shirt. And it's, I can't think of a specific media that made me think like, that's what inspired me to wear my favorite band shirt. And maybe part of it is also like the first concert I ever went to was Kiss, but then 2 weeks later I go to see Bruce Springsteen.
Okay.
And my dad, who I probably got this problem from, still had t-shirts from when he saw Bruce Springsteen touring to support The River. T-shirts from when Bruce Springsteen was touring to support Born in the USA. And so there's pictures of me and my brother, 24 years ago wearing, Bruce Springsteen t-shirts that my dad had bought 20 years before that, So right. I think from that is probably what made me like, yeah, I want shirts that show off the band because we're at the show. Mm-hmm. I'm wearing a shirt that's for like Born in the USA or something. I probably had the Born in the USA shirt because growing up, Born in the USA was my favorite song. Okay. So I'm sitting there wearing the shirt, and a guy sitting behind us asked my dad, he's like, oh, dude, where do you get those shirts? Mm-hmm. And my dad was very proud to say, I went to the tour and bought that shirt 15 years ago. I was at the show that the t-shirt is from. I didn't buy this on eBay. I didn't find someone selling this vintage. I was at this show and bought this shirt. And I think even though I was a kid, I could feel that there was that pride in that. Like, no, I didn't. I was at the show. Like, I didn't have to go out and seek out the shirt after the fact. I was at the show and bought this shirt. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Like, I love that it can become a badge of honor. A badge of honor in a way too, because you're wearing something that you acquired from actually living the experience. Yep. And not something like you said, like having to find it on eBay, having to get it secondhand or anything like that. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it does add, at least for the individual, a level of pride. Yep. Right. And like, I love stuff like that, which is, see, for me, because I was someone who was so heavily influenced by media, or like at the very least, like I was very plugged in to media as a kid, as a teenager. It was all music and movies. That's like all my interests were music and movies and, TV. And so like seeing Tony Stark in a Black Sabbath t-shirt
in the Avengers movie. I was like, oh, that's really cool. All right,
exactly,
yeah, he's supposed to be this sort of guy that listens to that kind of music. You know, he's listening to, he's Iron Man. Of course he'll have a Black Sabbath t-shirt on.
I remember watching it at some point and like posting on Twitter or something, being like, Tony Stark easily has the best taste in music because he's wearing a Black Sabbath shirt and he's listening to Suicidal Tendencies in the first Iron Man.
Yeah.
So I'm like, Tony Stark easily listens to the best music.
I mean, you've got that example. You've got, even something as simple like, I don't know if this is what it was supposed to be, but in Toy Story, it looks like Sid is wearing a t-shirt for the skate brand Zero. Yes. And I remember wanting like as much merch as I could possibly find. I know they're not a band, but it's like band t-shirt adjacent.
Yeah.
But like to have this recognizable logo that other people can recognize. And I wasn't a skateboarder, so don't even come for me in the comments. I fully wore like Etnies stuff and Zero merch without owning a skateboard. I think I went on a skateboard once, busted my ass, and I was like, yeah, never again. I'll go buy some, rollerblades or something like that. It's probably easier. But yeah, that's where I got a lot of my influence from anyway. It was just, I don't know, characters in movies were always portrayed to be so cool and like so much larger than life. And it sort of extends to seeing other people wearing band t-shirts. Yeah. Like I was saying before, that same hat phenomenon, right? I remember in high school finding what is not like, they're not super obscure, but I remember finding Children of Bodom because someone who I didn't know yet at the time was wearing a Children of Bodom t-shirt, and I was like, that shirt looks really fucking cool. That's got to be a metal band. I got to talk to this guy. Yeah. So I start speaking to him, and he's like, yeah, they're this band from Finland, and like, you should really check them out if you like this band, this band, this band, and this band. And I hadn't heard of any of them. So now I'm diving into this list of bands that this guy gave me. The next time I see him in the hallways, I'm like, hey, I checked out that band. They were awesome. And we start talking. Yeah. And now I know At the Gates. Now I know Meshuggah. And now I'm listening to Dying Fetus and Children of Bodom, all because this guy had told me, like, yeah, you would really like these bands too if you're going to check them out. So it's incredible how we create that community. Like I was saying before, that feeling of community, and to be able to say like, oh yeah, I was turned on to this band because this person I saw this person in a t-shirt and they shared a little bit of knowledge with me, is so unique to the metal community. Have you had experiences like that too?
I can definitely remember times where, in high school, there was a kid I hung out with, wore like a Cradle of Filth t-shirt all the time. And he that
would have been me. That would have been me.
I know he had, I know I've said this before and I'm going to say this old-fashioned sentence again. He would send me music over AOL Instant Messenger. And he sent me the Cradle of Filth cover of Death Comes Ripping. He had sent me, I was getting into Dead Kennedys and he listened to Dead Kennedys. He was like, oh, I have their album Frankenchrist. I'll send it to you. Mm-hmm. Like, awesome. And he's sending me one by one songs over AOL Instant Messenger. So yeah, there was very much that, camaraderie, just because I'm wearing a Metallica t-shirt and he listens to Metallica, and I can see, I don't necessarily listen to Cradle of Filth or some of the bands he listens to, but like, I get it. You're listening to the same kind of music or a similar style of music that I am, and it's, you kind of give each other the nod. Because you got to walk from one end of the high school to the other, and you only got 4 minutes, so you don't have time to actually have a conversation. But you can give them a nod, and it's interesting how music can do that. And it's one funny story is the first day of senior year over the summer, Hot Topic had some new Slayer t-shirts. So I bought myself a brand new Slayer t-shirt, and I was like, I'm gonna wear this. And my camouflage shorts and my fucking combat boots.
It was
first day of high school
of some sort.
Oh yeah, of course. And I show up first day of senior year, and the guy who I do a radio show with who introduced me to Slayer, is wearing the same fucking t-shirt. And we see each other in the lobby of the high school and like start cursing at each other. It's like, you fucking asshole, we're in the same fucking shirt, what the fuck? And like, it was just so funny. We're wearing the same shirt. The next day, we weren't wearing the same shirt, but the next day we both wore Misfits shirts. And we once again started yelling and cursing at each other. So it's funny to have that, but it's like you're saying, there's that community and again, I'm going to talk about Slayer. I went to a Judas Priest show at some point, and I was wearing a Slayer t-shirt because I'm like, I'm going to see a band. I don't have a Judas Priest shirt. I'll wear a Slayer shirt, whatever. Walking across the parking lot at Jones Beach, and some dude, like, probably 100 feet away, just yelling, fucking Slayer! Because that's what you do as a Slayer fan, is you yell fucking Slayer at each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, I yell it back at him because it's fucking Slayer, and that's what you do. And it's like you're saying there, it's great to see that community and that camaraderie that you get from wearing the same shirt. And like you're saying, I've had it happen at the store, you know, or I'll wear occasionally when I have to work weekends, I'll wear a band shirt to work, and a security guard who's got to be in their security uniform can't be wearing their band shirts, but they'll comment on the shirt I'm wearing.
Yeah.
And it sparks a conversation because it's like, you know, when I'm walking in wearing an Anthrax t-shirt, there's not a lot of Anthrax fans. There's not a lot of Anthrax fans in the metal community, let alone outside of the metal community. I feel like I'm constantly having to defend Anthrax on Reddit. So when you see someone wearing a band t-shirt that you like, and it's not a band you see a lot of people wearing, you kind of can't help but comment on it. I've done the same thing. I'll see someone wearing something. I know when I worked at Adventureland, I'm in my Adventureland uniform, and a dude comes on my ride wearing a Big Four t-shirt. He was at the Big Four at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, yeah.
And so he's waiting in line, and I go up to him, and I'm like, bro, I was at that show. That was an awesome show. And, you know, we start talking about the show, and I was asking him, like, where he was in the stadium, and he was like, oh, dude, I had to be on the floor. Like, I was in the pit, you know, getting my ass kicked, but I was in the pit. And I'm like, it's, you know, me and my brother felt like old men, and we're like, we've been to a show that had like 10 bands on the bill when we saw Overkill, and our backs hurt because there were no seats. It's like, we're buying a seat at Yankee Stadium to watch this show.
Yeah.
But like you're saying, it's that community. And when you see someone wearing a band shirt of a band or from a tour that either you went to or you recognize, it's cool to, you know, you have that connection in it, and it's cool to just have that conversation, because as someone who knows that they want, like, I'm someone who wants someone to come up to me and be like, hey, I love that band, so I'm always going to do it to someone else. You know, I want to be able to have that conversation with someone.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that, and I love that we are, I mean, we've talked about this countless times, how people have the impression that metalheads are all brooding and blah, and like, you know, no smiles, and I don't like being happy. And like, you see two people recognize a t-shirt from across the room, and it's just the giddiness that they get.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, they might as well be like jumping up and down.
Yeah.
And like, because there is that excitement, like you mentioned, like having someone who's maybe not able to, you know, because of their job, they have to be in a particular uniform or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So they're not able to wear what they actually want to, and you know, that's their chance to say to someone, "Hey, I really love your shirt," and stuff like that. You know, I've done it to customers who come in, and you know, I've got to be in a button up and a tie and all that stuff, and you know, I'll see someone that comes in with a shirt or just a hat, just anything that I can recognize, and I'm like, I want to let them know that I think that's cool, that I love that band too. You know what I mean? That I can pinpoint the logo that's on their shirt. You know, because there is that excitement towards it. And you mentioned something really funny, you know, buying t-shirts from Hot Topic. I feel like that was anyone that became a teenager in the 2000s, that was like a rite of passage, right? Yeah. You would go to Hot Topic and you would buy a couple t-shirts. And like, I remember the phenomenon of like when bands like Attack or The Devil Wears Prada or Parkway Drive first came out, the trend to have these like super bright neon colored band t-shirts, and I hated it. It was like neon monsters on like a baby blue shirt. And like within that scene, I don't know, at that time there was very much this pushback against like wearing all black. Like you wanted to have, you had the fringe hair, and you had like the baby blue t-shirt, or like the lime green t-shirt with a purple and green and orange monster on it or something like that. And I was like, this sucks. I hate this trend. Where the fuck are the black t-shirts and stuff like that? And like, I was such a curmudgeon, but it was because to me, it was now a new trend that was starting that I wasn't clued into, so therefore it sucked.
Yes, obviously.
Because I didn't want to take part in it, so they were wrong.
Yep.
But to that same respect, you've got, I guess, what I would call target bands, or bands that you just know are going to be sold, like they're going to have band t-shirts sold at Target. Bands like AC/DC, bands like Pink Floyd, the Ramones. Like, you will walk through Target, and that's just like in the dad section. Yeah. Like, this is a t-shirt that a dad can buy and be like, I'm cool. I listen to AC/DC. I've got balls, and I love Whole Lotta Rosie.
I bought my first Led Zeppelin t-shirt at Kohl's.
There you go.
You know?
And there's nothing wrong with that. But I do think it's really funny how, these bands who, I mean, you mentioned Beavis and Butthead. Like, you could, if someone wanted to have a Beavis and Butthead cosplay, all they have to do is go to Target. They can buy a Metallica and an AC/DC t-shirt without any problem. When back in the day, you'd have to like search high and low to be able to find, t-shirts from these bands who now are like, they're nothing obscure. They're nothing underground. But it's funny how these band t-shirts have now become staple pieces for people's outfits in a different way than what it is for us as metalheads, where we use it as a way to signal people of like, hey, here's an obscure band. Hopefully someone calls me out in this t-shirt. Yeah. It's more so like, this is a fashion accessory. Yeah. I want to dress edgy today. So I'm going to wear a leather jacket with an AC/DC t-shirt, a flannel wrapped around my waist, and some boot cut jeans and big chunky boots, right? Yeah. That's a thing now. And that's okay. But you see so much of it going on, and I think as metalheads we tend to get really defensive, even if it's not a band that we love. Like, I have seen people get really upset because people who are not metal fans or who are not hard rock fans are wearing Led Zeppelin t-shirts or, the Ramones seal, and because it almost feels like they're just trying to play a part in a way. And I know people tend to get really offended and kind of gatekeepy with it. Yeah. But I feel like in those cases, those logos don't mean anything to them. Those logos don't mean anything. They just know that is a rock outfit. Yeah. In the same way that people for a long time were wearing the Che Guevara t-shirt. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Or a Misfits skull. Yes. Chris, what's your opinion on this?
It's interesting because, like we're saying, you ride a fine line of gatekeeping where it's
name 3 bands.
It's
name 3 songs.
Name 3 songs. Name 2 albums. Name all the members. That sort of thing. And it's because I think I wear a Misfits shirt because I listen to the Misfits. Right. And I know other people that wear Misfits shirts because they listen to the Misfits. And when I'm wearing a Misfits shirt and some guy I've never met before is wearing a Misfits shirt and we lock eyes and we realize we're both wearing the Fiend skull on our chest, like we're going to start talking. We're going to start yelling lyrics at each other. We're going to, that's what you do. And so I think
you're going to go out and buy kitty litter together with Glenn Danzig.
So because for fans of the music, it's a way to let people know that you listen to this band. When someone wears a shirt of the band logo just because they feel like wearing it and have no idea that it's a band logo, it can be frustrating to people that are fans of the band. Like I said, or like you mentioned as we're talking about the Misfits, I was telling you right before we started recording that I remember seeing people in a oversized t-shirt with a giant Fiend skull on it that had like a gold tooth. and some like golden script. And so I see the Fiend Skull and I'm like, ooh, Misfits fan, let me go talk to that guy. And it's like, no, he's dressed like he listens to rap and hip hop. And like, if I walked up to him and started talking about the Misfits, probably wouldn't have any idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And when I talked to someone else about that, I'm like, yeah, I saw this dude wearing this shirt. It was weird that it had the Fiend Skull on it. They're like, oh yeah, there's some company that's like using the Fiend Skull.
Yeah.
And like, it's so weird. Like, I get it. Skulls are cool, but it's a band logo. And it's like you're saying, we're riding that fine line of gatekeeping, because we use these t-shirts to let other people know that these are our favorite bands. Yeah. And the thing I can compare it to for me is, like I said, I own a lot of t-shirts. And for a very long time, I was subscribed to Loot Crate. And in every single Loot Crate, there was a t-shirt. Yeah. Not every single t-shirt that I got was for something that I'm a fan of. Right. So I have t-shirts that are a reference to like Mr. Robot, which I've never watched. Okay. So like, if I wear that t-shirt, I don't wear it out, because I don't want to invite some giant Mr. Robot fan to start talking to me and I have no idea what my t-shirt is referencing. Yeah. You know, I think I have like a Legend of Zelda t-shirt that came in a Loot Crate. I never played Legend of Zelda. You know, I prefer Mario. You know, so I have these nerdy t-shirts, you know, I might have a Star Trek t-shirt and like with like the Enterprise on it or something. And like, I'm a Star Wars guy. I know nothing of Star Trek other than, you know, beam me up, Scotty, which isn't even in the fucking show. So I think, and this is probably just because I am in every fucking community that gatekeeps more than anyone else. I'm like, I know someone's going to give me shit if I wear this shirt and have no idea what it's referencing. So I'm just not going to wear it. So I think from the perspective of someone who is part of that culture, we understand what it means to wear a band shirt, because when you see someone who wears a shirt of a band that you love, that's that instant connection you have with that person. If someone is wearing a Dead Kennedys t-shirt just because it seems cool and edgy, or there's some celebrity who's, you know, fashion designer just handed them a t-shirt because they thought it would look cool, that's where fans get kind of like, you don't even know that that's a fucking band, and you're wearing the t-shirt. And like, and so it's like,
isn't there that meme of like one of the Kardashians wearing a Slayer t-shirt, and then Gary Holt started wearing the Kill the Kardashians t-shirt?
Yeah. It's because I've seen that, and I know we're talking about t-shirts, but I've seen a lot of people mad. You can buy absurdly expensive pre-made battle vests and battle jackets. And you can buy a battle jacket for $1,700 that has a giant Fiend Skull on the back and Dead Kennedys logos and Black Flag logos and references to all these punk bands and crust punk bands and fucking millions of Dead Cops logos and like all this shit on it. But it's a $1,700 vest that like fucking one of the Kardashians is going to wear, and is going to have no idea who any of these bands are. And so that can be frustrating, because especially with battle vests and battle jackets, the whole point is to make it yourself. So
to see something very personal about it.
Exactly. So to see that you can just buy a mass produced battle jacket for $1,700, that's not going to fly in the metal and punk community. And I feel like it's the same thing with t-shirts. It's like, it's cool to wear a t-shirt with like skulls and flames and all this and that on it, or you know, it's edgy to wear something that says Dead Kennedys on it. But I don't want to say you're inviting the criticism, but in some ways you are.
You're opening yourself up to it, maybe not knowingly, you know.
Because it's just like I'm saying, we at the Scrap Metal Podcast try very, very hard to not gatekeep. And
we're repenting for our past sins.
Exactly.
Is what it's about.
Exactly.
We've fully gatekept in the past.
Yes.
Is the thing, and we're trying to make up for it now.
And so I think the approach I would take is that if I see someone wearing a Misfits shirt and they look like someone who's probably not listening to the Misfits, I kind of want to give them the benefit of the doubt and be like, well, maybe they're just getting into the Misfits.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we've all been there.
I think the when celebrities that you know are just wearing it for the fashion, that's when like it gets the most vitriolic and the most like, no, fuck these people. The guitarist for Exodus and Slayer is going to wear a shirt calling for your death. Like that's what it is. But when it's just some dude you see on the street, like I'm not going to walk up to a person and give them a hard time if they look like they're wearing a shirt of a band that they don't listen to.
I've been there. I have been there as a little fucking 14-year-old walking home in a fucking Cradle of Filth t-shirt. Which, okay, funny story about this shirt. It was gifted to me, and now I've looked it up, and it's like fucking $200 if I wanted to buy it. And I don't have it anymore. I'm not like Chris. I constantly get rid of clothing, and I wish I had kept it. But yeah, walking home, and they're like, it's two dudes, and they stop me and they start fucking questioning me about the band. What else do you listen to? Oh, that music sucks. You don't listen to real good shit. Listen to real fucking black metal, the fucking poser. And I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, at this point, at least I was listening to them already, because when I got the shirt, I had not heard of the band yet. My godfather got me the shirt, and he was like, here you go. And so, like, yeah, it sucks to be in that position, to have people calling you out.
Yeah.
Especially when you are a fan of the music.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, who the fuck are you to tell me what I'm an actual fan of or not? It sucks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we've all been there. We've all been at that point where it's like, you're maybe just getting into it. But I think that you're right. And I fully agree with you that where you can draw the line, and I think everyone can agree, is that when a celebrity wears something, it's usually going to be for just that one time.
Yeah.
It's usually going to be just a fashion statement, and it's usually just going to be something where it's like, yeah, this isn't something that they're actually interested in.
Yeah.
So we can be a little gatekeepy about
that. I'm sure there's times where it would surprise us. I'm pretty sure there was a time after winning a championship, LeBron James was wearing an Undertaker t-shirt. And people were like, is he actually like a WWE fan? Or is he just wearing an Undertaker t-shirt? And it turned out he was a legitimate fan of The Undertaker. And had this like vintage Undertaker shirt. And was a legitimate fan of WWE and professional wrestling, or at least the era that The Undertaker was from. So it's like, I'm sure there's times where a celebrity is like, no, I do listen to this, but it doesn't always feel that way.
Right. In talking about Battle Vest, we were talking about how personal these vests get. And I think there is something to wearing a piece of merch with a band logo on it that you wear for an extended period of time. That maybe you've worn this shirt all through high school, and it gets that certain level of thin. Yeah. And the fabric just feels nice, and it just feels comforting, and it becomes your favorite t-shirt. I think that is another layer to just how special band t-shirts are. For example, this shirt that I'm wearing, right? I'd have to get up for you guys to see this, but it's a Black Label Society t-shirt that I got on like my 15th birthday from friend of the podcast, Metal Mike. Thank you, Mike. I still have the fucking t-shirt. But I've since, I've cut the collar off. I fucking turned it into a muscle shirt. Like, it's all shredded at the bottom. It looks like moths have just gotten to this fucking poor shirt. But I've still fucking got it.
Yeah.
I still have it. This is one of my favorite shirts. And I'll wear it in the summer now, because now it's, it's just like muscled out.
Yeah.
it's like a favorite sleep shirt of mine, because it's like super thin. It just it feels so it feels like a second skin. It just feels so comfortable. You know, unfortunately with muscle shirts, you usually wind up with like a titty out when you wake up. But but I love this fucking shirt. Chris, do you have a t-shirt in your vast collection, way too large collection, that you can say is undoubtedly your favorite t-shirt?
I'm going to keep coming back to it, but there's a specific Slayer shirt that
it's all right. Wear the fucking love on your sleeves, baby.
It's got the Slayer logo on the top, and it's like a green demon hand covered in blood on like all the fingers, like coming out of a grave or something. And I've had that t-shirt since high school or like freshman year of college. And like, I don't wear it very often because it is in not great condition because it's very old.
Yeah.
But on those occasions where I wear it, it's like, man, it was my go-to concert shirt. It was my go-to, I'm going to show off that I listen to Slayer, and this is the Slayer shirt I'm going to wear. So that's probably that shirt for me, that's the shirt that I've just worn the most.
See, I love that because it's in you talking about it. Like I can get the sense that is just something where, like you said, that was your badge of honor. That was like your flag that you would wave at a concert, you know, and we wear these shirts with pride. Not just for the band that we're representing, because it's also that's another part we didn't even touch upon, is the endorsement of a band that comes with wearing their merch, that comes with wearing their band tee. It's such a, you know, if you are wearing a band's t-shirt, it's because you're fully endorsing that band. And I've seen people retire shirts because it's like it comes out that one of the members did something kind of shitty, or like, you know, the band just fell off or whatever. And people are like, yeah, no, I'm giving away these fucking shirts now. I'm not wearing this fucking shit anymore. I don't want to represent them, right?
Yep.
So yeah, it is just so crazy that we as metalheads get so attached to these pieces of fabric.
Yeah.
But they really do just mean something so special to so many of us. And to be able to say like, yeah, I've got my favorite t-shirt. This is why this is my favorite. And I'm sure that you can recount certain concerts that you've been to that you hold dear, knowing like, oh yeah, I wore this shirt to that concert. Your dad giving you and your brother t-shirts to wear for shows that he'd been to. It's that same sort of pride. It's that same sort of kind of warm feeling that we get from wearing our favorite band t-shirts. And I really love that.
In addition to the memory you might attach to wearing a t-shirt at a show or at an event, I also have memories of t-shirts that I bought at the event. You know, like I said, I saw the guy wearing a Big Four t-shirt. I bought a shirt at the Big Four show to commemorate that. You know, I thought it was so cool on Metallica's, I forget what they're called, like World Magnetic, or it was their world tour supporting Death Magnetic. Yeah. They had venue-specific shirts. So I see them at Nassau Coliseum, and I bought a t-shirt that specifically had the seal of Nassau County on it, and had the date, the location, you know, it's, you know, and it's cool to have that. And so I always try to buy shirts that specify, you know, the dates and the locations. You know, when we went to go see Ghost, the Imperator, I'm buying a shirt that has the dates and the cities on the back. You know, and it's been a bummer when I remember seeing Slash with Miles Kennedy, and I bought a t-shirt, and the t-shirt commemorated the tour they were on. It was called Apocalyptic Love Tour, but it didn't have any of the cities on it. And that was the only shirt they were offering. And so that was kind of a bummer. Same with They Might Be Giants. They had a t-shirt that commemorated that they were on this tour, but it didn't have the dates on it. And so I always look for shirts that have the cities and the dates on it, which is interesting when you have shirts and then they become special because the city that you saw the show at is spelled wrong on the shirt. Because I have my Overkill t-shirt.
Yeah.
I believe I've told this story. Overkill was supposed to play at the Crazy Donkey, and at the last minute, the show was moved to a different venue in a different town, the town of Hop Hog, which I dare anyone to try to spell Hop Hog right now.
And if you don't live on Long Island or aren't from New York, just try to spell it. Just give it your best shot in the comments, please.
Hop Hog is spelled wrong on the back of the shirt. I believe it's either my Judas Priest or Kiss t-shirt, because I know I bought it at their show at Jones Beach, considered Wantagh. Wantagh is spelled wrong. You know, so it's, you cherish the shirts because there's a memory attached to it. And then there's also that cool little thing where it's like, oh yeah, and the town is spelled wrong.
Yeah.
For these reasons, you know, like with the Overkill show, there's that added element of it was supposed to be at a different venue. And then the rumor going around at the new venue was that it was a bat mitzvah. And the crazy donkey was like, if our choices are a bat mitzvah or a fucking Overkill show, we're going with the bat mitzvah. And so then Overkill, you know, has to play at a different venue. And then Overkill comes out and they play like, I think they started with Ironbound, because it might have been that album cycle they were touring. And then after the song, Bobby Blitz is like, I don't even know if we're in the right fucking place, but we're here, you're here, we're just going to play the fucking show. And like, so like, for all of those reasons, those memories are attached to that t-shirt. And anytime I wear that t-shirt or see that t-shirt, I think about that experience, you know, with the Judas Priest and Kiss t-shirts. You know, I have memories attached. You know, the Judas Priest show I went to, I had no idea it was a 30th anniversary of British Steel show. So I go, they come out, they sing a couple songs, and all of a sudden Rob Halford is like, hey, we're celebrating 30 years of British Steel. Why don't we just fucking play British Steel? And they play the whole album. And so that was really cool. So it's like you're saying, there's memories attached to a shirt that maybe you've owned for a long time, or maybe a shirt you wore to a concert or an event. But for me, there's also t-shirts, you know, that are event specific. One that I'm also just thinking of right now, when we saw Anthrax at Coney Island, and they had the Warriors themed t-shirt with like them standing like the Warriors on the front, and then the wings on the back like the Warriors vest. And so that's a cool t-shirt to have as well. Oh, I was going to make fun of the guy. I'll just tell you this story because it's funny to me. So one of the first Misfits shirts I ever got was a Legacy of Brutality t-shirt. And I'm wearing it, and some guy is like, oh, that's a great album. And I'm like, isn't this like a best of album? It should be good. It's all their best fucking songs. And I'm like, yeah, sure, dude.
Fucking hope so.
Yeah.
He had just gotten into the Misfits.
Yeah.
And he was just excited that somebody else was wearing a Misfits shirt. Holy shit. Oh my God. Is that a Thrashes, Smashes, and Hits t-shirt?
Is that a Monster Ballads Volume 3 t-shirt?
It was almost water all over the mic. Holy shit. That's fucking great. Is that a Now That's What I Call Music 15 t-shirt?
This dude's over here wearing a vintage Kids Bops Volume 3 t-shirt, bro.
They accidentally left a fuck in that album. Oh, man, this is all staying in. I'm keeping all this. Oh, boy. So for this episode, I thought we'd do something a little different. Chris, what is your band t-shirt related suggestion that you can make for us this week?
So my suggestion this week is just to make sure you buy a fucking t-shirt at the show you go to. Like I'm saying,
fair.
It's something that I always do. It's near and dear to my heart, buying a t-shirt at every concert I go to. So that's my suggestion. Make sure you're buying a t-shirt at the show. You know, it's gonna cost you like $45. It might be one of those really shitty Gildan t-shirts that fit you like a cardboard box, but buy the t-shirts. You know, it's if you're someone who loves band t-shirts as much as I do and we do, buy the shirt at the show. You're not going to regret it. Like you're not going to regret buying a t-shirt. You're going to regret not buying the t-shirt, which let you in on a little secret. I never bought that Anthrax shirt at the show. They fucking sold out. I had to buy it after the fact. You will regret not buying a t-shirt. So when you go to a show, buy the fucking t-shirt. And that's my suggestion this week.
That's a great fucking suggestion. So just like I have my tried and true Black Label Society Death Before Dishonor t-shirt, which like all of the print on it is like starting to come off. Like it's that old. I've worn it and washed it that much. Ever since I was a kid, I always loved the cover of Ace Frehley's solo album. Just the painting of his face. The portraits on all of those albums are so cool. But the painting of Ace's face on his solo album is just so fucking cool. I absolutely love it. And lo and behold, whatever, 18 years or 17 years later, I'm watching a shitty little movie called Halloween 2 by Rob Zombie. And Scout Taylor Compton comes out in an Ace Frehley t-shirt, and I'm like, fuck, I need an Ace Frehley t-shirt with the solo album cover on it. And so I made my way onto eBay or Etsy or I don't know, not Redbubble. What the fuck is the other one that I use? I don't even fucking know. Whatever, some like vintage sale website. And I found an old ass oversized Ace Frehley t-shirt with the solo album cover on it. And so now I have this, and I also turned this shirt into a muscle shirt because that's just the kind of guy that I am. I fucking love this t-shirt. And this came to me feeling like it was already worn to shit. And the way that the collar stretches out and the way that it just never holds its shape is proof that it's been worn to shit, but I love it. I love it so much, and I'm so happy that I own something with Ace Frehley's face on it. So to kind of echo what Chris was saying, if you have a particular band, if you have a particular shirt that you've always wanted, just go out and fucking buy it. And if somebody asks you to name 3 songs, tell them to fuck off. Thanks for tuning into the Scrap Metal Podcast. The time has come for us to pack up our gear, but we'll be back to rock out with you in the next episode.
Stay metal, everyone.
Good night.